In October 2023, a young mother sent a series of desperate text messages to her friends, showing them fresh bruises and bite marks. These weren't just signs of abuse, they were warnings of a meticulously planned revenge plot that had been in motion for months. Sophia Williams, 21, thought she had found love. Instead, she had walked straight into a trap set by a man who spent 4 months pretending to care for her, all while secretly plotting to destroy her. The truth would emerge through a chilling video call, one that captured her boyfriend taunting a prison inmate, followed by the haunting sound of a child crying. Hours later, Sophia Williams was dead. But this wasn't a simple case of domestic violence. This was revenge, cold, calculated revenge, against the father of her children. Her new boyfriend hadn't chosen her by chance. He had selected her specifically, watching and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The reason? A 4-year-old murder case that connected them all in ways Sophia Williams never knew until it was too late. Sophia Williams was more than just another victim. She was a devoted 21-year-old mother of 2 boys, both under the age of 10, living in Seabrook, Texas. She had recently moved into the Teakwood apartment complex, hoping to build a better life for her children. Friends described her as resilient and loving, always putting her sons first, no matter the challenges of young motherhood. She worked hard to provide for her family, even maintaining a relationship with her children's father, Jason Carter, after his incarceration, to ensure her boys stayed connected to their roots. In June 2023, when she met Ethan, Sophia Williams believed she had finally found someone who would help her create the stable family life she dreamed of. She had no way of knowing that this relationship would lead to her death. Before we delve deeper into this devastating story, I want to ask you something important. Cases like Sophia Williams's often go untold, but together, we can change that. If you've ever known someone affected by domestic violence, or if this story touches you, leave a heart emoji in the comments. Your comment could help someone else feel less alone. What would you do if you discovered someone close to you was in an abusive relationship? By early 2023, Sophia Williams had established a routine at the Teakwood apartment complex in Seabrook, Texas. Each morning, she would wake her 2 young boys, get them ready for school, and head to work, carrying the heavy responsibilities of single motherhood on her shoulders. Her apartment, though modest, was filled with signs of a mother's love. Children's drawings on the fridge, toys carefully organized in the corners, and photos of her son's milestones covering the walls. Those who knew Sophia Williams spoke of her determination. At just 21, she had already weathered significant challenges, having her first child while still a teenager. Yet instead of letting this derail her dreams, she worked even harder, ensuring her children never felt the weight of their circumstances. She maintained open communication with both fathers of her children, believing that despite the endings of her past relationships, her boys deserved to know their heritage and family history. Her grandmother's house became a weekend sanctuary for the family. Here, Sophia Williams's boys would play in the yard while she shared her hopes and dreams with her grandmother. Dreams of returning to school, moving into a bigger apartment, and giving her sons the stable, loving home she envisioned. What makes her story particularly heartbreaking is how close she had come to achieving these goals. Before everything changed, Jason Carter's path crossed with Sophia Williams's story long before her death, first as the father of one of her children, and later as an unwitting catalyst in the tragedy that would unfold. By 2023, Jason Carter was serving time for a murder that would eventually connect all the pieces of this devastating puzzle. The story traces back to July 31st, 2020, in Texas City. On that day, Jason Carter, then 20 years old, took the life of a young man named Lucas. The details of that murder rocked the local community, leading to Jason Carter's swift arrest and conviction. While behind bars, Jason Carter maintained contact with his child through video calls, attempting to be present in his son's life despite his incarceration. Before his imprisonment, Jason Carter had built a complicated relationship with Sophia Williams. Though their romantic connection had ended, they worked to maintain a civil co-parenting relationship for the sake of their son. Sophia Williams never spoke ill of Jason Carter to their child, believing that despite his crimes, their son deserved to form his own opinions about his father. She regularly facilitated video calls between father and son, maintaining that fragile connection even after Jason Carter's incarceration. What no one could have predicted was how that connection would ultimately seal Sophia Williams's fate. Predictions about how Jason Carter's past actions would eventually lead to Sophia Williams's death were chillingly accurate. The murder he committed in 2020 had set in motion a chain of events that would take 4 years to reach their tragic conclusion. The video calls he made from prison would later become crucial evidence in understanding the final hours of Sophia Williams's life. The morning Ethan first approached Sophia Williams at a local convenience store marked the beginning of her final 4 months alive. He struck up a conversation while she was buying snacks for her children, commenting on the character logos on the packages and sharing a story about his own childhood favorites. Sophia Williams, touched by his easy way with her boys, who were with her that morning, found herself drawn into conversation. What appeared to be a chance meeting was anything but. Ethan had been watching Sophia Williams for weeks, learning her routines, noting when she usually shopped and which store she frequented. He knew which car she drove, where she lived, and most importantly, who her children's father was. That morning, he arranged to be at the store at precisely the right time, armed with the right conversation topics to seem relatable and safe. Within days, he began appearing at places Sophia Williams frequented, creating more accidental meetings until she came to expect and welcome his presence. The first months of Sophia Williams and Ethan's relationship painted a picture of normalcy that fooled everyone around them. Ethan masterfully played the role of the devoted boyfriend, showing up at her apartment with home-cooked meals, offering to help with childcare. He'd sit through Disney movies with her boys, help with homework, and even volunteered to drive them to school. Friends observed how Ethan seemed to understand the challenges of dating a single mother. He respected when Sophia Williams needed to focus on her children and appeared supportive of her maintaining a co-parenting relationship with her children's fathers. He even encouraged her to keep up the video calls between her son and Jason Carter, despite privately harboring resentment about these connections. On social media, Sophia Williams shared photos of happy moments: Ethan teaching her eldest son to ride a bike, family picnics at the park, quiet evenings at home. Her grandmother later recalled how Sophia Williams had spoken of finally finding someone who understood that her children came first in her life. By late August, subtle changes in Sophia Williams's behavior caught the attention of those closest to her. Her usual Thursday coffee dates with friends became sporadic, often canceled at the last minute with vague excuses. Her once active social media accounts grew quiet, with fewer posts about her daily life and children. The first physical evidence appeared when Sophia Williams visited her grandmother with a bite mark on her face. She brushed it off as a playful accident, but her grandmother noticed how she flinched when Ethan called during their visit. That same week, a friend spotted Sophia Williams at the grocery store wearing a long-sleeved shirt in the 90-degree Texas heat. Text messages to friends began showing a pattern. Sophia Williams would share photos of bruises or marks, followed quickly by messages asking them not to worry or tell anyone. She explained them away as accidents: bumping into doors, falling while cleaning, playing too roughly with the kids. But her friends noticed something else. These accidents only seemed to happen when Ethan was around. September brought a sharp escalation in Ethan's behavior that Sophia Williams could no longer hide. During a birthday party for her youngest son, friends noticed how Ethan constantly hovered nearby, monitoring her conversations. When Sophia Williams spent too long chatting with a neighbor, he grabbed her arm so hard it left finger-shaped bruises. Her phone calls to friends became whispered conversations from bathroom stalls or quick calls during her lunch break. In these moments, she revealed more disturbing details. Ethan had begun threatening her children, claiming he would hurt them if she told anyone about the abuse. She sent photos showing scratches across her back, bruises on her arms, and a swollen eye, each image accompanied by frightened texts begging friends not to call the police. By early October, Sophia Williams's co-workers reported seeing her arrive at work with visible injuries. She began missing shifts, calling in sick more frequently. When she did come to work, she wore heavy makeup and kept her head down. In the final week of her life, she confided in her grandmother, "If anything happens to me, look at Ethan. He's not who we thought he was." The truth about Ethan emerged through a connection no one had initially seen. Hidden beneath his facade of a caring boyfriend lay a devastating link to Sophia Williams's past. Ethan was the half-brother of Lucas, the man Jason Carter had killed in 2020. This wasn't just a relationship gone wrong. It was revenge, 4 years in the making. Every moment Ethan spent with Sophia Williams and her children had been part of his plan to strike back at Jason Carter. He had deliberately sought out the mother of Jason Carter's child, knowing that hurting her would cause Jason Carter the same pain he felt when his brother died. The timing of their chance meeting at the convenience store had never been accidental. His interest in her children, his encouragement of the prison video calls, all were calculated steps in his vengeful scheme. Police later discovered that Ethan had spent months researching Sophia Williams before ever approaching her. He knew her routines, her struggles as a single mother, and most crucially, her connection to Jason Carter. While Sophia Williams worked hard to maintain a peaceful co-parenting relationship with her children's father, Ethan silently plotted how to use that very connection to execute his revenge. At this moment, I need to pause this devastating revelation to address something crucial. Revenge can destroy multiple lives, creating ripples of tragedy that affect innocent people, especially children. If this story has impacted you, take a moment to share it with others who need to hear this warning. Hit that like button if you believe these stories need to be told to raise awareness about hidden dangers in relationships. Subscribe to join our community, dedicated to preventing similar tragedies through education and awareness. I'm curious, what warning signs did you notice in Ethan's behavior? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your insight could help someone recognize dangerous patterns in their own life or the life of someone they love. October 4th, 2023 began as an ordinary Thursday at the Opps apartment complex. At 7:30 a.m., neighbors reported seeing Sophia Williams taking her children to school and returning alone to her apartment shortly after. Security cameras captured Ethan arriving at the complex at 8:15 a.m., carrying what appeared to be breakfast, a routine he had established over the past months. By 9 a.m., Sophia Williams had made several calls to friends, her voice tense during these brief conversations. Text messages from her phone showed she had tried reaching out to family members, though most messages went unsent, deleted before completion. At 10 a.m., she picked up her children early from school, claiming a family emergency. The next hour proved critical. Between 10:30 and 11 a.m., multiple neighbors reported hearing raised voices from Sophia Williams's apartment. At 11:15 a.m., a video call connected from the prison where Jason Carter was incarcerated. What happened during this call would set in motion the final, fatal sequence of events. The video call at 11:15 a.m. captured the moment Ethan dropped his facade entirely. As Jason Carter connected to speak with his son, Ethan deliberately moved into frame, positioning himself behind the child. The footage later recovered by investigators showed Ethan's calculated transformation from pretend father figure to revealed tormentor. "Remember me?" Ethan taunted Jason Carter, his voice carrying none of the warmth he'd previously shown the children. "Remember what you took from me?" In the background, Sophia Williams could be heard trying to intervene, her voice rising in panic as she realized the danger. The call captured her desperate attempts to protect her child. "No! Get away, baby! No! Get away from him!" she cried. Then came the sound that would haunt everyone who later viewed the footage. The sharp crack of Ethan striking Jason Carter's son, followed by the child's cry of pain and confusion. Sophia Williams's scream filled the background as she rushed to shield her child. The video call ended abruptly, cutting off just as Ethan turned towards Sophia Williams. The next moments in apartment 247 turned fatal. At 11:30 a.m., neighbors heard what they thought was a gunshot. Multiple calls flooded emergency services, with residents reporting screams followed by complete silence. First responders arrived within minutes, but they were already too late. When police entered the apartment, they found a scene that contradicted the initial reports. There was no gunshot wound. Instead, the Harris County medical examiner later confirmed that Sophia Williams died from blunt force trauma and a single stab wound. The murder weapon, a kitchen knife, was found in the sink, recently washed. The apartment showed signs of a desperate struggle. Furniture was overturned, a coffee table shattered. Sophia Williams had fought for her life, evident from defensive wounds on her hands and arms. A broken phone lay in the corner, its screen cracked from impact. Her final attempted call for help never completed. The most chilling discovery came from the apartment's security camera footage. It showed Ethan leaving calmly through a back exit, taking an evasive path through neighboring properties. The most heartrending aspect of this tragedy was that Sophia Williams's two young sons were present during their mother's final moments. Found huddled together in their bedroom closet by first responders, the boys had followed what their mother had screamed at them to do: hide and stay quiet. The older child, barely 9 years old, had covered his younger brother's ears and eyes, trying to shield him from the sounds coming from the living room. When officers found them, the older boy was still whispering comforting words to his brother, repeating what their mother had always told them: everything will be okay. The impact of witnessing such trauma would require long-term professional support for both children. The older son, who had watched the video call confrontation and his mother's desperate attempt to protect them, carried the additional burden of having seen Ethan's true face. True nature revealed itself as both boys were placed in the immediate care of their grandmother. She later described their night terrors, their fear of closed doors, a haunting reminder of what they had endured. Their presence during the crime added yet another layer to Ethan's cruelty. He had chosen to strike while knowing the children were home, making them helpless witnesses to their mother's murder. The investigation into Sophia Williams' murder began immediately. Detectives quickly zeroed in on the strange discrepancy between the reported gunshots and the actual cause of death. The initial crime scene assessment revealed that Sophia Williams had died not from gunfire, but from blunt force trauma and a stab wound. Attention swiftly turned to Ethan as the primary suspect. Investigators pieced together the connection between Ethan and Jason Carter through database records. The prison video call served as crucial evidence, documenting Ethan's presence at the apartment and his violent behavior just before the murder. Digging deeper, investigators discovered that Ethan had meticulously planned the crime. They uncovered evidence showing he had studied Sophia Williams's routine for months, keeping notes about her schedule and even her children's activities. Ethan had also created multiple fake social media accounts to monitor her online life long before they ever met. Solid proof that his actions were coldly premeditated, the evidence against Ethan grew overwhelming. His own digital footprint became a damning trail. Text messages recovered from Sophia Williams's phone displayed an escalating pattern of control and threats. Photos she had sent to friends documented the progression of abuse, complete with timestamps and locations. The prison video call captured not only Ethan assaulting Jason Carter's son, but also Sophia Williams's voice in the background, proving he had been the last person with her. Security cameras at Teakwood Apartments caught Ethan arriving that morning and later leaving after the murder, seen changing clothes and discarding items in various dumpsters. Inside Sophia Williams's apartment, investigators found Ethan's DNA throughout, including under her fingernails, evidence of her fierce struggle for survival. They also uncovered a chilling series of notebooks Sophia Williams had kept. In them, she documented instances of abuse, carefully noting dates and detailed descriptions. Her final entry, dated October 3rd, just one day before her murder, read, "He knows something about Jason Carter. He's not who he says he is." After the murder, Ethan vanished from Seabrook, triggering a frantic 3-week manhunt. Security footage showed him leaving the apartment complex on foot, weaving through residential streets, changing direction frequently to avoid main roads. It was clear he had carefully mapped out his escape, steering clear of any area likely to have cameras. For 24 days, Ethan moved between locations, using only cash and avoiding all social media. He reached out to no one, not even family. Despite his efforts, his attempt to remain hidden was ultimately futile. On October 28, 2023, a tip led authorities to Texas City, where they found Ethan holed up in a motel room under a false identity. The arrest was swift and without incident. Inside the room, officers found evidence suggesting Ethan was preparing to flee the country. Fake identification documents and a large amount of cash were discovered. Disturbingly, they also found a phone containing videos of Sophia Williams with her children, which Ethan had apparently been watching obsessively during his time on the run. His only words upon being arrested were, "Is Jason Carter hurting yet?" The aftermath of Sophia Williams's murder left deep, lasting wounds, particularly on her two young sons. Their grandmother took full custody, creating a safe home where they could begin the slow process of healing. The older son, who had witnessed the video call confrontation, struggled with severe anxiety and refused to participate in any video calls, even with trusted family members. The younger boy developed attachment issues, panicking whenever his grandmother was out of sight. Both children required intensive trauma-focused therapy to help them cope, not just with the loss of their mother, but with the betrayal of someone they had once trusted. Their grandmother often noted how the boys preferred to sleep together, the older brother still trying to protect the younger one, even in sleep. Sophia Williams's family faced the monumental challenge of providing stability for the boys while grieving their own loss. They established a trust fund to ensure the boys' future education, turning their pain into a mission of hope. Their teachers at school worked closely with the family, creating a support system to make the boys feel safe and understood. The murder of Sophia Williams highlighted the horrifying ripple effects of revenge, how it can destroy innocent lives across generations. It exposed painful gaps in protecting domestic violence victims, especially single parents who are often left vulnerable to calculated predators. Sophia Williams's death raised urgent questions about how society can better shield those at risk. The case also shed light on the risks involved with prison communication systems. The video call that allowed Ethan to taunt Jason Carter showcased the delicate balance between maintaining family connections for inmates and preventing further victimization. It sparked debates about improving monitoring and adding stronger safeguards to prevent abuse. More importantly, Sophia Williams's case demonstrated how unresolved violence spawns new tragedies. Ethan's quest for revenge over his brother's death resulted in 2 more traumatized children and continued a devastating cycle of pain. Advocacy groups launched new initiatives focusing on breaking cycles of retaliatory violence and supporting children exposed to domestic trauma. As of early 2025, Ethan remains in custody awaiting trial. He faces charges including first-degree murder, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and multiple counts of child endangerment. His actions during the prison video call led prosecutors to file additional charges, ensuring that he faces the harshest possible penalties. Today, Sophia Williams's sons live permanently with their grandmother, surrounded by a network of support from both sides of the family. With the help of specialized trauma therapy, they are slowly rebuilding their sense of safety. Their school continues to provide on-site counseling and other resources dedicated to their emotional recovery. Meanwhile, the Seabrook Police Department has implemented new protocols for handling domestic violence cases, particularly those involving single parents. Officers are now trained to better identify and respond to cases potentially motivated by revenge, steps inspired by the tragic loss of Sophia Williams.